I would not be here without a decent, good education. I grew up in Southwest Virginia, a kid of blue-collar, working, poor people. We grew up in substandard housing. We didn't have access to health care. My parents didn't have paid sick days, so when I was in the hospital at age 12 and they didn't know what was wrong with me, my parents couldn't be there with me. So, but I had an opportunity in Virginia, a pretty homogenous state at that point, so it wasn't as challenging to be in the educational system in Virginia as I think it is here in California, with all of the diversity of languages and cultures and all of the issues that you have to face in our school systems up and down the state. So I was very lucky. I went to a really good elementary school in the poorer part of town, but we had access, and we had counselors, and we had art, and we had music, and we had the full range of things. And so I was able to have great teachers. We all still remember our favorite teachers who helped us, who helped me get into middle school and high school and actually think that I could go to college, because that was not the worldview of my family. So to have that as an opportunity, I went to college, and it was there that I think I understood how to be engaged and involved in mainstream society, because it really wasn't about me growing up. I didn't think the world was about me. I was a poor kid, struggling. And so it was education that actually took me out of that life and gave me opportunities. You should have a wonderful time at the Capitol today, because the PTA has a reputation like no one else. People know who you are. They know what you're committed to, and so doors should open for you. I wanted to talk a little bit about my appointments. As the speaker, I get to make appointments to committees. It's the most exciting piece of what I get to do. So my budget chair is Dr. Shirley Weber from San Diego. She served on the K through 12 board. In fact, she was a mentor to me when I first moved to San Diego. She was on the Unified School District Board in San Diego. And I watched her, and I wanted to be her. I'm still not her, but I know how to use her. Let me be clear, and she's okay with that. She also spent 40 years at San Diego State University. She is the chair of the Budget Committee, and I think that's really important to education. I also had the opportunity to appoint a few other folks, and hopefully you have already met with or will be meeting with the chair of education, Patrick O'Donnell, who spent 20. Oh, I'm aging the poor guy. Sometimes 20 years feels like 40. I did teacher for a day. Teachers need to be paid more. I learned, and it's incredibly hard to do it for an hour. So it's true, and you know it. Patrick O'Donnell will be chair of education. Kevin McCarty will be chair of Budget Sub 2, and you know Budget Sub 2 deals with the education. So between Dr. Weber, chair in Budget, and Mr. McCarty, chair in Budget Sub 2, certainly Mr. O'Donnell with education, and then Jose Medina at higher education. So we feel like, I feel like I have the best assets put into place to really work on these issues from the earliest age group all the way into college. I want to talk about the things that the interconnectedness of a couple of issues. I think we need to look at poverty. I think it's probably one of the things, as I know, it could have held me back. It could have kept me from being able to succeed, and I wouldn't be here today because I did grow up in poverty. You know, our Public Policy Institute of California, I don't know if you saw the study that came out not that long ago, I think the end of December. 50% of California children live in poverty or near poverty. It also showed that without the state's safety net programs, an additional 1.3 million kids, California kids, would be poor. And with that in mind, I think we need to look at things like nutrition. It plays a crucial role in child development and academic development. I know, I went to a breakfast club, and it made a huge difference that the church that provided breakfast, we were latchkey kids, my sister and I, we had an opportunity to have something to eat before we went to school. And I think every policymaker should really be pushing to expand access to child nutrition programs so that all children are served. And we know that California has the lowest SNAP participation rate in the nation. It's 100% federally funded food benefit, and too many of our communities are food deserts and don't have access to healthy foods. And so I think we have to take a look at that. Another issue that you heard in my introduction was I care a lot about affordable housing. Well, I grew up in substandard housing. I know how it impacts families not to have decent housing. And you heard Senator Allen talk about the housing crisis in Los Angeles. Numerous studies have shown, we've read it in the paper, in Orange County and LA in particular, that children in crowded homes have poorer health, worse scores on math and reading tests, and higher rates of depression and behavioral problems. So I am working to find a sustainable long-term funding source to help increase the amount of affordable housing in our communities. And so that's something that I'm committed to because it is all connected. I know that the local control funding formula, we take a separate look at outcomes for a number of categories of kids, including low-income English learners and foster youth. It doesn't specifically take into account or require attention to homeless youth, and I think it should. I have visited a number of schools where homeless kids attend, and I think we need to look at budget language to make sure that that's included and that happens. We need to look at health care. Healthy students are better learners. The more families that have access to health care, housing, nutrition, the more success we're going to see in the classrooms and the support that we give teachers. And to you, as PTA members, you know that if there are families in your school that are suffering, it's going to impact the whole classroom. It's going to impact the school. It's going to impact the community. So we have lots of work to do together, but what's really, really exciting is for the first time in more than a decade, we don't have a deficit. In fact, we have a surplus. And so we have to be really thoughtful about how we spend those dollars and how we prioritize. And a number of your priorities are our priorities. And I think it's a matter of working through a budget process over the coming months and having the debate and the discussion and making sure your voices are heard and that we're able to do as best we can to reinvest in people, And I think that's what we're geared to do, and we could use your help because you're the PTA. So you know you have clout, you know you have position, you know you have power and influence, and you know how to use it.